When you look back on the UFC when your career was there, from say UFC 50, all the way up to 150, I mean, you were really the face of that brand as it got bigger. And the kids or people these days don't remember. I mean, back in the day, the UFC was not that big. It was not that cool. It was hard to get on TV. I remember when it was, a blood sport and it was banned, in America. I mean, can you talk about what it was like or what you remember from those days and how it's different from these days?
First, when I saw the first UFC, I was a teenager. My karate teacher just passed away, and I remember I saw Royce Gracie. At the time, the sport was not as big, and I saw Royce Gracie, who was relatively small to compare to the guy that he was fighting against, and a lot of his opponent, like Kimo and all those guys, they were very intimidated. They looked like bullies. And I saw Royce Gracie winning the first UFC, was beating all those big, intimidating guys. So when I saw that, it really inspired me, because I kind of, at the time, I never really took physically my revenge against the bully. So it really inspired me, because seeing Royce Gracie doing it. So I knew at the time, I was like, wow, this guy is amazing. And I really wanted to become like him. And at the time, when I saw the first UFC, I saw right away that the sport, I had faith that this sport would become big. Even when I started my career, I remember my first fight, I made like $1,100 in TKO. And then after I had another fight in TKO, then when I got into UFC, I made 3,000 plus 3,000, to fight in the UFC, my first fight. Then it got bigger and bigger. But I always had faith that at one point it would become big. And I feel very fortunate also that I came at the right time, in a way that a lot of the great fighter before me did not make a lot of money, and they deserved way more than what they make, because the sport was not as popular. I came right I came in the perfect time, and I'm very lucky to have made the money, because now I have enough money I can, live without fighting and do almost not whatever I want, but I feel very privileged about that. But I always had faith that sport would become big, because fighting is something that it's in every one of us. Even if you're not a fan of fighting, if you're watching a football game and there's a fight that breaks out in the stands, you'll stop watching the football game to watch the fight. That's what John Denard told me, and it's really true. It's something that is, I can take the nicest person in the world and force that person to fight, either to defend himself or to defend someone that you want to protect. It's something that's it's in ourselves. So everybody can identify to fighting. So I always believe one day the sport of mixed martial art will become big.
Yeah. And you were one of the first fighters to cross over and do these big sponsorship deals with, I think Under Armour was a big one, but you were the guy that kind of turned it from what the public kind of thought of as a blood sport, and then major brands were putting you as the face. I mean, that was a big deal, and that paved the way for a lot of other fighters to get those endorsement deals. Was that something that was intentional, or, how did that happen? Or is it because you're you? I mean, you're kind of a clean-cut martial artist guy, George. Did that help?
And at the time when in the beginning of my career, even in UFC, in the beginning, we didn't have the recognition that now the fighter have. That we were not seen as real athlete. I remember when I beat Matt Serra in Montreal in the Bell Center, I still have an article in the newspaper. Ferraz put it in the gym at TriStar. It says like, I'm on the cover of the newspaper like this, on top of Matt Serra, and it's written like, the Barbarian overthrown the Montreal Canadian for the record of assistance because ice hockey is our national sports here. So yeah, at the time it was really bad. But I always believe that if we want to be treated as real athlete, we need to act like real athletes. So that's why I started to wear suits in press conference. At the beginning, some guys that were making fun of me, but now it's funny because a lot of time it's mandatory. You know, they want us to be in suit, and I understand that because all major sport, that's how it is. You know, you want to, you know, you're an athlete, but you want, you know, as a brand, you want to have a good image, and you know, you want to attract other companies to sponsor you. So that's how the money comes from as well. So in a business standpoint, it makes sense.
What's it like dealing with the UFC as a company, Dana White as a promoter, and what advice do you have to athletes that are just getting into the sport?
Yeah, well, business is business. You know, when you sign something, before you sign something, don't sign it to make a favor. You know, sign it because it's right for you. Because when you sign it, it's your fault. You decide to sign it. And I made many mistakes in my career, but I was fortunate. I met great mentors in business as well, not only in training. And they took charge of me, and I'm very lucky because a lot of these guys are my personal friend as well. I knew them before I made money, so they were my friend, and now they jump on board in business with me to sort of guide me which route to take. But I know that a lot of fighters, unfortunately, don't have that chance, and I understand. You know, I'm a fighter as well. You know, I'm a martial artist, but I compete as a fighter, and we have no guideline. You know, if you're a basketball player or a hockey player or a football player, you have a certain guideline. You know, there's mentor that will lead you to certain path that are good for you. But in fighting, it's a world of sharks, and it's normal. The organization is there to make money. So if they propose you a deal and you're signing it, it's not their fault. It's your fault because you signed a bad deal. So fighter should take responsibility for stuff like that. What they signed, it's their responsibility as much as it is to train and to be in shape, to educate themselves on the subject. And unfortunately, I still believe fighters are underpaid. And the conditions are bad. They could be much better, but it's not only the fault of the organization; it's the fault of the fighter as well. They need to make the right decision and unify for this.
Okay. And what about Dana White?
Martial art, it's a sport where you know, we're very vocal, very loud. When we fight hard. It even goes in the public. You know, when we say good things, we say good things, but we're very vocal. That's how the business is run, you know? And you see it on social media now. A lot of things has been said between Dana White and I, you know, because Dana White works for the best of his interests. I, as a person, as an athlete, work for the best of my interest. So we've been very vocal in things. I don't think Dana White is a good person. And as a fighter, I owe my freedom and my wealth to Dana White because he took the UFC from nothing and he made it, you know, he made it what it is right now. So, of course, I have to be, you know, I have to give that to him, you know. But as a fighter, it's my responsibility that if Dana White proposed me a deal, if it makes sense, and I have my team that I trust tell me, George, this is not good, I'm not gonna sign it because Dana White is nice or he's bad. You know, you know, when it's business, it's business. So Dana White for me, now we're friends, everything is cool. But at that time, it was hard because we were fighting for our own interests in a way.